Hey everybody, welcome to DC Live. I'm here at the White House. Today is a quiet day here. The president is having lunch with the vice president today. Not much on the public schedule, but obviously the president taking care of some serious business, having his lunch with JD Vance, which they have, I'd say, every couple of weeks or so, probably to catch up and, go over the agenda, all of the things that they're doing here in DC. Last week I did get a chance to talk to the president as he was boarding Marine One. And that is something that occurs generally at the end of the week. President Trump gets on Marine One, and then he heads over to Joint Base Andrews, where he usually spends the weekend at Mar-a-Lago or at Bedminster. This weekend he was in Bedminster, and usually we all head out over there right past the press briefing room, which is in the building right there. See that long building coming out of the White House? That is the infamous press briefing room. And behind that is the South Lawn, and that is where the President of the United States takes off on Marine One and generally does gaggles with the press. And I'd say about 50% of the time, the president, whichever president that may be, whatever administration, except for Biden, of course, who probably did no gaggles, I'm assuming. I wasn't here during his time, but I just can't imagine him stopping and talking to the press. His handlers definitely would have put the kaputs on that. But President Trump often stops and talks to reporters in a gaggle. And this time was no exception. Last week, there were a lot of reporters there, a lot more than usual. I'd say there were about 6 or 7 rows back, and I was sort of able to kind of like in football, I saw the holes in the crowd, and I crawled in underneath some ladders, and I got to the front, and I got to ask President Trump a really important question that is on so many Americans' minds, and that is Hillary Clinton going to be finally investigated for election fraud? So many Americans want to know, and I did get to ask the president that question late Friday evening. Please play the clip of President Trump's answer.
President, will Hillary Clinton finally be investigated for election fraud? Hillary Clinton?
I don't know whether or not that will happen, but I hope so. Mr. President.
Now, there's another clip, if you guys could cue that one up, and I think if that was the attachment above that clip on LindellTV. By the way, guys, go to LindellTV and follow us on X. Make sure you follow. Make sure you check out our daily coverage every day on LindellTV.com. But I really wanted you guys to be able to see. So that was my phone. I was kind of trying to shoot myself with my phone, getting that President Trump's question. I guess we don't have the other clip, but you guys could check that out on LindellTV of President Trump's actual answer. It went viral. The president's answer went viral. It was all over Truth Social. You know what? During the commercial break, I'll pull that up and I will send that to the producers. That clip of President Trump saying that he does hope that Hillary Clinton is investigated. He doesn't know if she'll be. Obviously, that's up to the Department of Justice. Wink, wink. But he hopes that Hillary Clinton will be investigated. And I have in my bag, and I'll take that out again after the commercial break, or maybe Gary could get it for me, something I wanted to read when I was on Colonial Beach, which I'll tell you about. Colonial Beach, a beautiful beach on the Potomac River, about an hour and a half out of DC. I needed a break this weekend, and I went there, and I brought this as beach reading, but I didn't get to it. This is the 29-page annex. These are the emails that the intelligence community, that Tulsi Gabbard released, proving without a shadow of a doubt that Hillary Clinton, in the very least, needs to be obviously investigated, put in front of a grand jury, all of this evidence, and indicted obviously for election interference, and everything that she did, that we all knew she did, is now proven on paper. Obviously a lot of redactions. Whenever I see these papers shooting out of my printer with all these black redactions, it really ticks me off, because this stuff, there should be no redactions as far as I'm concerned when it comes to information that journalists and that people own. We the people own this information. We the people own the government. We do not approve of all of these redactions, Tulsi Gabbard. But thank you anyway. We still appreciate you more than any other intelligence, any of the other head of intelligence, the Secretary of Intelligence, for releasing all of these files and proving, obviously, what we have known for a very long time, that Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama, Joe Biden, it's turning out, we'll talk about that in a little bit. They actually were using Joe Biden right before he started going really senile, unfortunately. This is in 2016, to start spreading the Russia collusion hoax. Joe Biden was even in on this. This is something interesting that I heard on social media. I'm going to look more into this, because this is something that Joe Biden could be indicted for, because he did not pardon himself. Joe Biden did not pardon himself, and he was vice president at the time, not president, so he doesn't receive presidential immunity. So Joe Biden was out there knowingly spreading false lies about Russia collusion. This is obviously a huge threat to our democracy, as the Democrats like to say, when you're going out there actually trying to derail a sitting president and knowingly conspiring to tell lies to unseat this president and to undermine a duly elected president in an election. I truly believe, guys, and I know this, I could be wrong. 2016 was probably the safest and most secure election in history. And the reason I say that is because, and I do have an interesting Hillary Clinton clip I want to play where she sort of alludes to 2020 without realizing it at the time. But I truly believe that. And this, again, this is just my theory. Obviously, we all sit around and we think and we try to figure out things in our mind. Oh, excuse me. Let me just put that off. We try to find out things in our mind and figure out what we think, about certain things. And I want to share what my opinion is on the 2016 election. I do think that the deep state and the powers that be truly do, for the most part, pick presidents. And I think when it came to 2016, they were so certain that Hillary Clinton was going to win. The fake news media was reporting this. The deep state was completely behind her, and the polls were saying that she was winning with a landslide. That I think what they did was they sort of just they let their guard down. Like all of the things that they generally have in place, all of the mechanisms that are generally in place when it comes to an election to make sure their preferred candidate wins, they sort of just dropped the ball on in 2016 because they were just so certain that Hillary Clinton was going to win and break the glass ceiling or whatever it was they were trying to paint her as, the first female president of the United States. I truly believe they let their guard down and President Trump won. And that's why I say that 2016 was probably the most fair election where the will of the people really was represented, because obviously in 2020, they went completely overboard. And I want you guys to cue up this video. It's not in order, but it was the video that I sent. And let me know when you have that video. This sort of proves it. It's a video of Hillary Clinton wearing a blue shirt. It wasn't in a tweet. It was something that I had screen recorded in my phone because I didn't want to lose it, of Hillary Clinton being a sore loser basically in 2016. Just complaining that the U.S. election, she's sort of trying to allude to the fact that maybe the 2016 race wasn't secure and maybe there was something going on with the election booth, because she just couldn't swallow the fact that she lost and it was embarrassed in front of the nation that she lost so badly, that she had that victory party plan. And guess what? That was a defeat party, as it turned out. So Hillary Clinton alluding in 2016 to the fact that there could have been shenanigans in that election. And guess what? She said 2020 could even be worse. There could be fraudulent election machines. And God only knows, when you send those votes off, they could be intercepted somehow electronically. So she had this whole thing. And I almost feel like this is the precursor. This was the plot. She didn't realize it. She was actually thinking about it in real time. But this is actually what happened in 2020, only the other way around. And that's generally what Democrats do, in my opinion. And I think in the opinion of a lot of people, they generally do something and then they point fingers at you and they tell you this is what you're doing. You are interfering with an election. You are spreading misinformation. They literally gaslight the American people. So if you guys have that clip of Hillary Clinton wearing the blue, please play that one, of her just lamenting about how she thinks that the election might not have been fair, and her quote unquote predictions, very suspicious, for 2020. Take a listen.
There are some tax experts in Silicon Valley with whom I have met who say that maybe what they'll do this next time is to really disrupt the actual election, shut down the servers that you send results to, interfere with the operation of voting machines, because still too many of them are linked to the internet. So we are still very vulnerable.
So you see what I'm saying there? And that clip I actually saved on my phone, because a lot of times stuff like that gets deleted. off of social media, or it's hard to find. That was in the context of a very long, dreary interview that Hillary Clinton gave after her big defeat in 2016. Again, I thought it was very interesting how she was sort of predicting what was going to happen in 2020, and then a light probably went on the head at the DNC somewhere, or in the deep state, like, wait a second, this is a really good idea, whether knowingly or unknowingly given to us by Hillary Clinton. And again, this is just my theory, and this is just me being Kara. Obviously, when, you're doing your job as a reporter, you have to substantiate things with documents like we now have that Hillary Clinton was in on it, if not the mastermind. But these are my opinions. These are the things that I think about sometimes when I'm just trying to understand the world and what happened with these past couple of elections. So many shady things, especially obviously in 2020. And I truly believe they tried to steal the 2016 election, or they had protections in place, but Trump won by such a landslide that I just guess they weren't prepared for it. And I think hence the shock and why they just went so overboard in 2020. We have a couple more clips for you guys that I wanted to play. A lot of people still talking about Russiagate, such an important topic, obviously, as the country comes to terms with the fact that, there's now proof. There's undisputed proof of everything that we've been saying, everything that the mainstream media has neglected, but the podcasters, the journalists at LindellTV, and formerly known as Frank's Speech, the Gateway Pundit, and all the quote unquote alt-right media was saying for a very long time that there was collusion on the part of Hillary Clinton, obviously Barack Obama, the intelligence community, and all of these nefarious characters that, the left really props up as if they're heroes. They actually were colluding against the people. There could be arrests coming up. That is what a lot of people are saying. And I have this interview with Stephen Miller, if you guys could cue that one up, that Nick Sorter had posted. It's cute. He's saying that there must be consequences. And guess what, guys? The statute of limitations has not run out, and for such very interesting reasons. And I really do think that, sometimes he's a little bit hard to digest, Stephen Miller, because he's always so hyper and yelling at the camera. But this guy's a brilliant genius. He is so smart. And the statute of limitations have not run out for those behind the Russia collusion hoax, according to Stephen Miller. Please take a listen to Stephen on Fox News.
Hour and the moment for accountability so that we can reclaim this democracy, Maria.
Well, do you believe we will actually get accountability? We've been demanding accountability now for a decade. Our audience is well aware that this is the biggest political scandal we have ever seen, and an effort to undermine and take down a duly elected president. But now we want to see the tricksters face the consequences. Will they?
I have complete confidence in the Department of Justice to follow these facts, to follow this new, further avalanche of evidence, and to take all the necessary legal steps to ensure that the wrongdoers, the coup plotters, the schemers, and the insurrectionists are held fully accountable under the laws and Constitution of these United States. Yes, Maria, I believe that.
Now, last weekend, John Ratcliffe, CIA director who is a former prosecutor, former DNI, told us that the statute of limitations, the 5-year statute, does not apply when it comes to conspiracy. And he says the conspiracy is ongoing because they still won't admit it. The conspiracy is still happening. So what is your take on what Ratcliffe told us last week?
Oh, he's completely right. So several of the statutes I mentioned, we have not even come close to eclipsing the statute of limitations. But more than that, it is an ongoing and continuing conspiracy. It continued through the entirety of President Trump's first term. It continued through the entirety of President Biden's term in office. And it continues to this day. There are still deep state coup plotters who are trying to conceal and hide this information on behalf of the people they are protecting. There are still staffers in Democrat offices who know the full truth, who are concealing that truth. So all of this behavior, all of this conduct collectively means the conspiracy hasn't ended, is ongoing. Comey in particular has throughout the years engaged in conduct and lies, public statements, and testimony in front of Congress. False testimony whose sole purpose was to perpetuate and continue the conspiracy. So I have every hope and expectation that the Department of Justice, under the leadership of our courageous Attorney General will follow these facts and follow the evidence and deliver justice. Because if we have a country where we can continue to have FBI careerists and CIA careerists, deep staters, who will fabricate and doctor evidence, who will create and produce fake material, fabricated material, phony information to try to go after their political enemies up to and including the president. If we continue to create the impression and the reality that there is not a criminal, a severe criminal penalty for such conduct, it will never stop. It will never desist. It will keep on going forever. And we will continue to have a country that is sabotaged endlessly by the production of fake documents, fake material, fake plots against democratically elected officials. We can't have that. There must be consequences.
Well, I mean, it's just extraordinary.
So there you have it. Stephen Miller, like I said, he's so smart, when it comes to actual facts, and very interesting argument that the statute of limitations hasn't run up, especially because they're still conspiring to this day through the obvious first Trump presidency. They conspired. They hid this through the Biden illegitimate. A lot of people say, not me, but a lot of other people are saying it was an illegitimate presidency. Conspired, and still to this day, they're colluding to continue to cover up the Russiagate hoax. So therefore, the statute of limitations is not expired. These people can be indicted, as they should be. I think a lot of the American public agrees. Indict them. Let a jury of their peers decide. Let Hillary, I don't know where Hillary Clinton's peers are. I know she was a New York senator for a little while. She moved to New York so she could be a senator after, John Kennedy Jr. Was killed in a plane crash. He was running for Senate as well. That was supposed to be his seat. But Hillary Clinton became a senator, and there in New York. So it was a jury of peers there in New York for her, or in Arkansas. I don't know who would consider themselves a peer of Hillary Clinton. But let the people decide if Hillary Clinton is guilty or not. And furthermore, again, we're pulling up these Fox News clips because, they're getting the interviews right now with the likes of John Ratcliffe, who said in a bombshell revelation, and this was a couple days ago, and I thought that this was interesting, but the weekend passed and we really didn't get to talk about this last week, that a former CIA director, John Brennan, former FBI director, James Comey, and Hillary Clinton, the former Secretary of State, are likely to face indictments due to their involvement in the Russiagate scandal. This is coming from CIA Director John Ratcliffe. Please take a listen.
So what I think I hear you saying is there is still an opportunity for indictments, potential prosecutions, accountability from those people who may have lied under oath, like John Brennan, James Comey, and perhaps Hillary Clinton.
Well, that's why I've made the referrals that I have. DNI Gabbard has made referrals, and why we're going to continue to share the intelligence that would support the ability of our Department of Justice to make bring fair and just claims against those who have perpetrated this hoax against the American people and this stain on our country.
Director, one other question on this. Tulsi, as well as President Trump, used.
So there you go. The CIA director's, basically confirming and, alluding to the fact that Hillary Clinton can be indicted. And, Hillary Clinton, and we've said this before, has no presidential immunity. She was never president, although she wishes she was. And Joe Biden, furthermore, for his actions, it turns out, and we'll follow up with this tomorrow, because I was just reading today that Joe Biden, they sort of used him like their little bulldog, I guess, before he, sadly began to forget things when he became president. But in 2016, he was vice president, and they had him out there just spouting out misinformation. And this is before he lost his mind, sadly. Again, not making fun of him, just stating the very obvious, very sad facts that Joe Biden didn't know anything when he was president, but he did before he was. Obviously, he was a very shrewd senator, a very shrewd vice president. And, he was out there literally knowingly spreading misinformation, part of this whole hoax, part of this whole obstruction of justice, of this whole conspiracy, this insurrection, as vice president. No presidential immunity for a president, for a vice president, unless they take that to the Supreme Court. And good luck with that. Good luck with Joe Biden asking this Supreme Court for immunity for spreading misinformation and lies and being part of a conspiracy to discredit and possibly overthrow a duly elected president of the United States and to interfere with an election. From what I understand, actually, Joe Biden was out there spreading these lies knowing they were fake in the summer before the election. And again, I have to go and do some more reading on this, but I think his name needs to be put into this whole conspiracy with Obama, with Hillary Clinton, with Comey, with Brennan, and the rest of the intelligence community. Joe Biden's name needs to be in there, 100%. Now, here's Hillary Clinton. I just thought we'd bring up this little fun clip of Hillary Clinton. This is when she was at the debate with Trump. Again, this is a woman who let's give credit where credit is due. Hillary Clinton probably has a very much higher than average IQ. She's brilliant. She's smart. She's ambitious. She's just evil. So wouldn't it be great if she actually used her brains and her ambition for good? And unfortunately, maybe she started out that way. I don't know. It seemed like she was normal 30, 40 years ago when she was a young woman, but then maybe she took a wrong turn somewhere. Something happened to Hillary Clinton, obviously. Don't know what her backstory is and when she made that turn, like what is her origin story, like they call it in the comic books. I don't know. But Hillary Clinton is brilliant when it comes to her IQ and when it comes to her political savvy. Not brilliant enough to win that election, by the way, but this is Hillary Clinton, and this just goes to show how evil she is, because this is Hillary on the debate stage. Literally, like, you would never know she was lying, and I have a really good sniff test when it comes to liars. Like, you would never know that this woman was lying through her teeth, that her and her aide, Julianne, her last name is not at the top of my mind right now, but her first name is Julianne, I believe it was Smith, concocted this plan to implicate Putin and Trump and try to throw shade on President Trump's coming victory with everything with Russiagate. So here's Hillary Clinton literally spouting out lies as if they're facts with a complete straight face. Again, you would never know. Now, these emails have come out, this annex, this report has come out that Hillary Clinton was very fully aware that everything with Russiagate was a lie. She helped cook up the story along with her aides, her campaign aides. But here she is on the debate stage actually lying through her teeth to women that she claimed that she was going to represent, to the next generation of children that she was supposed to inspire, all these young women that she was lying through her teeth to the American public on the debate stage. It now comes out she knew the whole time that every word that was coming out of her mouth was false. Please take a listen to Hillary Clinton back in 2016.
The Russian government has engaged in espionage against Americans. They have hacked American websites, American accounts of private people, of institutions. Then they have given that information to WikiLeaks for the purpose of putting it on the internet. This has come from the highest levels of the Russian government, clearly from Putin himself, in an effort, as 17 of our intelligence agencies have confirmed, to influence our election. So I actually think the most important question of this evening, Chris, is finally, will Donald Trump admit and condemn that the Russians are doing this and make it clear that he will not have the help of Putin in this election, that he rejects Russian espionage against Americans, which he actually encouraged in the past. Those are the questions we need answered. We've never had anything like this happen in any of our elections.
Okay. So there you have it. Again, a complete crop of you-know-what. Like, obviously, we know now that she was lying through her teeth. And she's just saying it so factually with, like, such a... like as if she was reciting the Declaration of Independence, which, you know what I mean? I don't even know. Just talking as if this is 100% facts. Like 1 + 1 = 2 children, and 4 + 4 = 8. Like, she's just saying it with such a straight face. Lying just goes to show what a sociopath this woman was. Obviously, we figured this all out with her emails and with Benghazi, how she could just lie through her teeth. Just literally lie through her teeth to the American people. I mean, obviously, we know politicians lie like crazy, but this is a special type of liar, Hillary Clinton, because usually it's pretty freaking obvious to me. Like when Joe Biden was telling a lie, you're like, okay, this is obvious. Obama, obvious. Hillary Clinton, a special type of liar to be able to say all those things with a straight face, because back then I probably would have said everything she's saying is BS, but she probably believes it's true, or she's received some sort of fake intelligence that's telling her these things, and she thinks they might be true. But it turns out she like basically fabricated all of this with her campaign aide. This was all her fabrication. Okay, so this just goes to show what a psychopath and what a bullet we dodged when we voted President Trump in 2016, and thankfully the Democrat Party bypassed Hillary Clinton as their candidate in 2020. I take that back, though. They did go with Joe Biden, and I don't think that even, I think he takes the cake on probably being the worst president in history. And I think, I don't know. I guess it's up in there. Why don't you guys send me a comment on LindellTV? Please comment. Would Hillary Clinton have been a worse president? President Trump says it all the time. Joe Biden was the worst president in history, hands down, of this country, of this republic. Would Hillary Clinton have been worse? I mean, Joe Biden was completely a non-functioning president, and the auto pen and his staffers were the ones running the country. But Hillary Clinton was so sinister and knew exactly what she was doing. I think we would have went to World War if Hillary Clinton was in office. But I don't know. What do you guys think? Who would have been worse? Would Hillary Clinton have been a worse president than Biden?
Yes.
My camera guy, Gary, is saying yes, because she's very sinister. She was very sinister. We're going to go to a quick break, and we're going to come back with a little bit more of DC Live right here on the White House lawn right after this.
Whether it's being a weekend warrior or spending time with your family, feeling your best is the key to doing the things you love. That's why I'm excited to tell you about Nirvanta. It's a natural solution designed to help you stay active and live well naturally. Nirvanta is a topical blend of all natural essential oils like frankincense, myrrh, and a proprietary gold standard plant stock extract. It's perfect for your hands, feet, knees, back, or anywhere else that needs a little extra care. Use Nirvanta proactively as part of your daily maintenance routine, and you're guaranteed you're going to feel the difference. Simply massage Nirvanta in for at least 60 seconds, 2 to 3 times a day to get the best results. And if you're not completely satisfied, you get your money back. No questions asked. There's simply no risk and no reason not to try Nirvanta today. Right now, you get 15% off with code Lindell exclusively at NirvantaHealth.com. So stop reaching out for that medicine cabinet. Get Nirvanta instead and experience the difference. Go to NirvantaHealth.com. Use code Lindell to get 15% off today. Nirvanta Health. Live well naturally. The last time President Trump was in office, gold soared 50% and silver went up a huge 53%. Americans who invested in silver and gold during Donald Trump's first presidency are very happy that they did it. And right now, gold continues to soar to the highest numbers in history. These gains are just an appetizer for what's to come. Some market analysts are saying that gold is predicted to rise another 30% in the next year alone. So now's the time to invest in gold and silver, and that's why I partnered with Fisher Liberty Gold. Fisher Liberty Gold is a conservative-owned and operated precious metals investment company. They even helped my good friend President Trump get elected through their contributions to Turning Point USA and other conservative groups. I have dedicated my life to ensuring that people get the best sleep ever. And in addition to owning a MyPillow, I can now sleep well at night knowing that you can all protect your savings with precious metals with Fisher Liberty Gold. With Fisher Liberty Gold, you can sleep well knowing that your retirement is secure. And if you call now, you're going to receive your very own presidential gold guide and qualify for up to $20,000 in free silver. But wait, there's more. Call now or text metals to 26786 to receive your presidential gold guide from Fisher Liberty. And for a limited time, I will send you a free MyPillow for qualified accounts. This presidential gold guide from Fisher Liberty will tell you exactly why you need to own gold even while Donald Trump is president. And just by calling in, you get a free MyPillow for a limited time for qualified accounts. and up to $20,000 in free silver. So don't wait. Call 1-888-4GOLD-19 or text MEDALS to 26786 today. That's 1-888-4GOLD-19 or text MEDALS to 26786 today to receive your free MyPillow and up to $20,000 in free silver.
So that was Mike Lindell, obviously talking about something very important, gold and silver. Obviously, make sure you check that out on LindellTV.com. But I wanted to go back here on the White House lawn again today. A beautiful day out, believe it or not, in D.C. There's a breeze. It's amazing. There's actually a breeze. Usually it's either sweltering hot here or just really swampy with pouring rain, but there's a nice breeze going through the trees right now. Nice quiet day here at the White House because the president does have a private day today where he's having lunch with the vice president and doing some meetings at the White House that are not open to the media. Not everything could be open to the media, obviously. There are things that the president has to discuss with his team and with his cabinet that we all can't be there for obvious reasons. But I don't know if you guys were able to find that clip. Jason, were you able to find the clip of me asking the president the question? I love his response. And this went viral, guys, over the weekend. Benny Johnson reshared it. Oh, we haven't gotten it yet. All right, I'm bragging. I was happy I got that question, and especially because, like a football player, kind of, listen, I don't know that much about football, but I know the point of football is to kind of find the holes. And I kind of like snuck to the front of the crowd. Not snuck. I mean, I had every right to go to the front because people left a hole and I went to the front and I was able to ask the president about Hillary Clinton, who I am looking forward to that investigation if it happens. I'm looking forward to her being indicted by a grand jury. I'm looking forward to her being tried by a jury of her peers and being dragged through the mud the way that they did President Trump. And in doing so, all of us, President Trump represented the will of the people. He represented the people who were sick of the deep state. So when they mugshotted President Trump, that was a mugshot of all of us. And Hillary Clinton, you need a mugshot. You need to be in an orange jumpsuit, just like all of those viral memes that you see on social media. This is something that the country wants, not just me. I'm not saying this as Kara. I'm just, saying this is something I hear on a daily basis. Democrats and Republicans alike would like to see Hillary Clinton held accountable. And I think Democrats more and more are waking up and saying to themselves, wait a second, this is the person who literally lied through her teeth to us, tried to get us to vote for her by telling us lies. Everything she said was, questionable. And they're disgusted. They're disgusted that these are the people that have hijacked the party of President Kennedy, a great president, by the way, President John Kennedy, the last great Democrat president. A lot of people say, besides the exception of President Trump and maybe Ronald Reagan, one of the only good presidents that this country ever had. I'm not a fan of Clinton, was not a fan of either of the Bushes. Actually can't stand those two. It's kind of questionable to me, Clinton or Bush, who was worse. I think they're probably up to par. They're in the same club. They're both wings of the same evil bird. Obama, forget about it. Sadly, I voted for the guy. I was duped just like everybody else, but turns out he was just a really, really bad president. And Joe Biden, of course, takes the cake, just like President Trump said, as the worst president in history. And like we were discussing before the break, in some parallel alternate universe, if Hillary Clinton had actually become president, that's more like a nightmare for the country and a dream of hers. She probably would have been really up there, I think, with Joe Biden as being the most diabolical president in the history of the Republic. Now, we are going to go to this article. This news story. It's not new, guys, but it came out over the weekend. Didn't really get a lot of traction last week. Obviously, President Trump is bent set on exposing election fraud of all sorts, and that includes cleaning up the voter rolls. There was an election executive order about cleaning up the voter rolls, getting dead people off of the voter rolls, getting illegals off the voter rolls. So this has been obviously something that President Trump speaks about often, and an executive order was signed in March. We've reported on this on Lindell TV regarding cleaning up the voter rolls and also really just looking into the elections in general and making them safe and secure for generations to come of Americans. But an investigation was the Justice Department is seeking voter and election information from at least 19 states. So Pam Bondi, Let's see where she goes with this. You know, a lot of people not happy with Pam Bondi right now. Let's see if she could actually pull this one off and actually do an investigation that hopefully culminates in indictments. The Justice Department seeks voter and election information from at least 19 states. Now, to summarize this, over the past 3 months, the Department of Justice voting section reached out to at least 19 states, both Republican and Democrat led, by the way, requesting voter registration data and election related records. In Colorado, everybody knows Colorado is scandalous when it comes to their quote unquote department of, when it comes to their BOE. DOJ demanded all records from both the 2020 and 2024 elections. Now, what makes this so sick and diabolical, and I happen to know this because I ran for office, is that the Board of Elections, basically, when it comes to certain papers and certain documents like ballots and other information, they are only obligated to hold onto these for 22 months before they can destroy them. They could literally put them in a paper shredder or go on the computer and just delete files. So that's concerning. But the DOJ is demanding all records from both the 2020 and 2024 elections. Now, hopefully the 2024 elections, they haven't destroyed those yet, because you could be certain, or I guess anybody with any amount of street smarts and common sense could say that, if it happened once in Colorado in 2020 and there was so much proof of shady things happening in 2020 that they didn't try to pull it again in 2024, maybe not successfully because they didn't have the mail-in ballots and they didn't have the COVID, and there was more scrutiny on the 2024 election after what happened in that very secure election in 2020 in Colorado. You could expect, and it is to be expected, that these states will not comply with the Department of Justice, or they will fight tooth and nail to cover up. I mean, if there's nothing to hide, then why won't they cooperate with the Department of Justice, you would think, right? So we'll talk about the states that are not wanting to comply shortly, but the Department of Justice has solicited information sharing agreements with at least 7 states to assist in investigating alleged voting irregularities, which it cites to enforce federal election laws. Important, right? You would think so. These efforts parallel an executive order signed by President Trump that was in March of 2025, as I mentioned earlier, directing the DOJ to increase coordination with states on election integrity issues. The Department of Justice focus has shifted from expanding voting access to investigating claims of voter fraud and non-citizen voting, both largely. This is according to the AP. We know what the AP is. They are fake news, both largely unsupported by evidence. It's not supported by evidence, you brainiacs at the AP, because there was never an investigation, because you colluded with the deep state to make sure of that in 2020. Remember that? Remember when you said that election was the most safe and secure, and you reported on the talking points of officials that came out and said, Chris Krebs, that came out and made up that whole talking point. This was the most safe and secure election after like 3 days of the election happening. Somehow he had some psychic knowledge and he was able to see into computers and into voting booths across the country to be able to make that statement. And this was completely, repeated and repeated and repeated by alleged news organizations like the AP. It's sick. Reaction and legal concerns. Several states, including Minnesota, Maine, and New Hampshire, have refused to comply. We'll see what happens. Citing voter privacy. All of a sudden, they care about voter privacy. All of a sudden, those these liberal states care about privacy. They don't care about privacy, or the liberal states the most guilty of having these ridiculous surveillance cities like New York City I lived in, for example, where there's cameras on every corner. They don't care about privacy. They don't care about your constitutional right to privacy, only when it supports their nefarious agenda. State election authority. They're saying that this they're refusing to comply because they're saying that this is hurting voter privacy. State election authority and conflicts with the Privacy Act of 1974. Some states handed the Department of Justice publicly redacted versions of voter roll data, stripping out sensitive elements like social security numbers or driver's licenses. Now, I guess it would be common sense to say that you would need those social security numbers or driver's license ID numbers in order to verify if these individuals are alive or citizens. common sense. Legal experts warn the demands could violate established norms of DOJ independence and traditional federal restraint in state election administration. This initiative marks a major pivot. This is my notes, guys. This is my summary of all this in the Department of Justice election-related policies under Trump's administration, emphasizing fraud enforcement over voting access and likely setting a precedent heading into the 2026 midterms. Now, critics warn it could contribute to I can't, why, I'm having a hard time today. They're saying it's going to make federal oversight politicized and undermine longstanding state control over elections. So they're arguing about state rights. Like, we don't have to give you this information because there has to be a separation of power between the federal government and the state government. Now, this is an unlikely argument that Democrats make. Usually it's something Republicans want. They want states to have certain rights, give the rights to the states, but all of a sudden Democrats are talking about state rights when it supports their agenda. But there's nothing more important, guys, obviously, than safe and secure elections and fighting election fraud. As we all know, this is an important investigation that the Department of Justice is undertaking, and hopefully they put the right people on this, the right investigators, because it's sad to say, but a lot of these investigations, it doesn't matter what administration it's under, usually they're all for show. It's just to appease the public. Hopefully this is not for a show. Hopefully that the Department of Justice takes this very seriously. There is no other president besides President Trump that is going to make it an initiative, that is going to feel so strongly after what happened to him about cleaning up the voter rolls. After this president, after this administration, it doesn't even matter if J.D. Vance gets in. I don't even believe this will be important to J.D. Vance as it is to President Trump. This is the only shot we have to remove all the dead people and all the illegals from the voter rolls and start that new precedent that, if you're dead, you probably shouldn't be given the right to vote. Hopefully you rest in peace. May you rest in peace, move on to heaven and a better place than this, but you still shouldn't have the right to vote when you're dead, and you shouldn't have the right to vote when you're an illegal alien either. Let's talk about the states now. Of course, it would be the usual suspects. Every state that you guessed that is saying they're not going to comply with this Department of Justice investigation is probably on the list. Those states include, I have my list here. I'm certain New York. I'm certain it's New York. Minnesota, of course, state officials have explicitly declined to provide their full voter registration list, calling it sensitive personal data and asserting the Department of Justice lacks legal entitlement to it. Maine. I mean, Maine is a shady state when it comes to their government. Everybody knows that. What they tried to pull with taking President Trump off of the ballot. That didn't work out so well, did it? But the Secretary of State, Shanna Bellows, responded forcefully, stating the Department of Justice request overstepped federal authority, threatening voter privacy, and would set a dangerous precedent. New Hampshire is refusing to comply. Utah. Who else? I'm assuming, okay, in California, several county election officials, notably Orange County, big surprise there. Los Angeles, San Diego, San Francisco are resisting to assist with this investigation, again, citing privacy. It doesn't really make sense. The Department of Justice has also filed a lawsuit against North Carolina's election board over HAVA compliance issues, separate from registration list demands, but indicative of escalating federal enforcement tactics. So we're going to follow up on this story, obviously, and try to break that down for you more. Obviously, as the week progresses, this is an important topic to Mike Lindell, and to everybody here at LindellTV, because we die on a hill when it comes to election integrity. And obviously, the most important thing, that everybody's vote counts. And how could our votes count when illegals and dead people are being counted as voters. That dilutes my vote. That is an infringement upon my constitutional right to vote when it's being diluted by illegals and dead people. I think anybody watching could agree that this investigation is one of the most important investigations that this Department of Justice has launched so far. A lot of people say they haven't really been doing much. So hopefully this is a jump start. And next will be the investigation into Hillary Clinton. We will talk about all of that and more this week coming up. But now we have for you a gaggle that was, I believe this gaggle was this morning. This morning, President Trump did a gaggle. We weren't there, but President Trump did an extended 15-minute gaggle with reporters. Some interesting sound coming out of there. Please check out President Trump speaking to reporters earlier today.
Thank you very much. We had a very good weekend in many respects. We're seeing phenomenal numbers in terms of the business we do with other countries and the business we do within our own country. I mean, really phenomenal numbers. We'll be announcing a new statistician sometime over the next 3 or 4 days. We had no confidence. I mean, the numbers were ridiculous, what she announced, but that was just one negative number. All of the numbers seem to be great. And so we'll see how that comes out. And if you remember, just before the election, this woman came out with these phenomenal numbers on Biden's economy. Phenomenal numbers. And then right after the election, they announced that those numbers were wrong. And that's what they did the other day. So it's a scam, in my opinion. My opinion is it's just additional scam.
On Russia, Mr. President, can you say, have those nuclear submarines been deployed yet to face Russia?
I've already put out a statement, and the answer is they are in the region, yeah, where they have to be.
Is what Steve Witkoff's message will be to the Russians? Is there anything they can do to avoid sanctions at this point?
Yeah, get a deal where people stop getting killed. They had a number that just came out that a tremendous number of Russian soldiers are being killed. And likewise, Ukraine, a lower number, but still thousands and thousands of people. And now we're adding towns where they're being hit by missiles. So it's a lot of people being killed in that ridiculous war. And, you know, we stopped a lot of countries from war, India and Pakistan. We stopped a lot of countries. And we're going to get that one stopped, too. Somehow we're going to get that one stopped. That's a really horrible war. You heard about Cambodia and Thailand. We got that one done. We got the Congo, which was going on for 31 years. Rwanda, that one's done. We stopped a lot of wars. This is the one we seem to be, this should be the easiest to stop, and it's not. I mean, Rwanda and Congo were going on 31 years, and I got it stopped. 8 million people dead, at least. That's what they have, but I think the number's much higher. And the leaders of each country, Rwanda and the Congo, they were great. They were great, and they wanted it stopped. 31 years it went on. We stopped a lot of wars. Serbia, Kosovo was going to be happening, and I don't believe it will now, so we stopped that one too. Yes.
You said you had more of an update to give us on Gaza, on the Gaza trip. Can you give us anything now?
We want the people fed. And we're the only country that's really doing that. We're putting up money to get the people fed. And Steve Witkoff is doing a great job. And we want Israel to get them fed. We're giving some pretty big contributions, basically to purchase food so the people can be fed. We don't want people going hungry, and we don't want people to starve. And there's some bad things happening.
Do they see evidence of a genocide in Gaza?
I don't think it's that. Look, they're in a war. Some horrible things happened on October 7th, as you know. It was a horrible, horrible thing. One of the worst I've ever seen. I've seen a lot of bad things in some president in terms of wars and potential wars. I mean, if you look at the one that we just stopped, they had thousands of people being dead already at the border between Thailand and Cambodia. Thousands of people. And I mean, I've seen some bad things, but that October 7th with Hamas was really, really bad.
Mr. President, can you give us an update on Steve Witkoff in Russia and what happens on Friday if the deadline comes and Russia has not agreed to a ceasefire?
Well, there'll be sanctions, but they seem to be pretty good at avoiding sanctions. You know, they're wily characters, and they're pretty good at avoiding sanctions. So we'll see what happens. But Steve is focused right now on the border in terms of, we're talking about with Gaza, getting people fed. And he may be going, I think next week, Wednesday or Thursday, may be going to Russia. They would like to see him. They've asked that he meet, so we'll see what happens.
Mr. President, what advice do you have for Republicans on Capitol Hill heading into midterms? What do they need to do? What can they do to, you know, hold
One of the things they're going to be talking about pretty soon are the tremendous drop in drug prices. You know, we've cut drug prices by 1,200, 1,300, 1,400, 1,500%. I don't mean 50%, I mean 14, 1,500%. Because we're going favored nations. We want the same prices Europe gets. We want the same prices other country gets. And over the years, 25, 30 years ago, it started where they were charging us much more. And I put an end to it, you know, with a letter that you saw last week. So I think that's going to be a point. I don't know how anybody could win an election if they're on the other side of that issue. So we'll be dropping drug prices. It'll start over the next 2 to 3 months by 1,200, 1,300, and even 1,400% and 500%, but not just 50% or 25%, which normally would be a lot, because the rest of the world pays much less for the identical drug, and we're going to be paying the same thing. We're going to have a favored nations. We will pay as low as the lowest nation in the world.
And then, Mr. President, I think it just came out, $29 billion in July taken in tariff revenue. You know, could we see a potential rebate here, and what would that look like, and who would qualify?
Well, we're going to pay down debt. We have a lot of money coming in, much more money than the country's ever seen, by hundreds of billions of dollars. And there could be a distribution or a dividend to the people of our country. I would say for people that would be middle-income people and lower-income people, we could do a dividend. But one of the things we're going to be doing is reducing debt. But we have hundreds of billions of dollars pouring into our country now. We should have done this many years ago. And I did it in my first term with China. We didn't get to the rest because COVID hit. And you couldn't really go to France and Spain and Italy and say, let's start talking about some tariffs. But China was paying us hundreds of billions of dollars in tariffs, and we did it then. Then Biden screwed it all up. He screwed everything he touched, he screwed up. Thank you.
Mr. President, will you endorse Winston Earl Sears in the Virginia governor's race?
Yeah, I would. I would. I think probably she's got a tough race. She shouldn't have, but because the candidate she's running against is not very good. But I think she's got a tough race. But I would, yeah.
When will you swear in Jeanine Pirro to be the U.S. Attorney for D.C.?
Swear in Jeanine Pirro, who's going to be fantastic at what she does in D.C. Over the next very short period of time. I think she's going to be fantastic. Don't forget, Jeanine Pirro was a great judge and a great prosecutor. And because she was so good, I was there. She was an amazing prosecutor and judge. And because she was so good, they drafted her into show business. And she did fantastic. You know, The Five was the #1 show, et cetera, et cetera. Jeanine Pirro was also really good at that. But her real love is exactly what she's doing. And that's what made her such a success in show business. So Jeanine Pirro is going to be amazing. And I'll swear her in as soon as we can swear her in. We need her. She's going to be amazing.
Are you happy with how the Rose Garden turned out? And will you have some kind of event? The Rose Garden, are you happy with how it turned out?
Great reviews on the Rose Garden, and we had to do it. As an example, when we had a press conference, you'd sink into the mud. You know, it was grass, and it was very wet, always wet, damp, but wet. And if it rained, it would take 3, 4, 5 days for it to dry out. And we couldn't use it for really the intended purpose. So whether they had events or they had news conferences, we couldn't use it. And it's a beautiful white stone, and it's a stone that's the same color as the White House itself. And because it's very white, it's going to reflect the heat. It's not going to be very hot, like if you had a dark stone. So, yeah, we've gotten great reviews on the Rose Garden.
You have
Any update on the search for the Federal Reserve Board? Have you been interviewing candidates?
No, I have a couple of people in mind. I'll be announcing somebody for the filling of the person that left. A woman left, as you know, who was I guess a Biden appointment, either Biden or Obama, but I think a Biden appointment. And she left early, and I think she left because she agreed with me on interest rates, and yet they were on the other side of the ballpark, right? So I'll be announcing that probably over the next couple of days.
Okay. Mr. President, one more on tariffs here. As you continue to, pile up these trade deals, are you kind of gaining more leverage over countries that haven't come out, made a deal with you?
I'm not looking for leverage. I'm looking for fairness. We want reciprocal as much as possible. Sometimes reciprocal would be too much for them to handle because it would be a much bigger number. But we want to see some reciprocity. We want to see reciprocal wherever we can. And all I can say is this: our country will be taking in hundreds of billions of dollars. You just said it. Already we're taking in, billions and billions of dollars. And it was very unfair. The world treated us very unfair. But the next big move is going to be the price of drugs. Because you could buy something in London or in Germany, someplace in Germany or many countries where it's 1/10, 1/3, 1/4, but sometimes 1/10 the price of what it costs to buy it in New York or some other place. And we're not doing that anymore. We're not allowing that anymore. That started many years ago when people were asleep at the wheel in this country, and they allowed that to happen, and I'm stopping it.
On the UN ambassador, will that still be a cabinet level position, sir, or not?
I don't know. I haven't determined that yet. That's a good question. I'll make a decision. He's a very good guy, but I'll make a decision.
Mr. President, what is your relationship with Laura Loomer? What kind of influence with Laura Loomer? What kind of influence does she have in the White House?
I think she's very nice. I mean, I know she's known as a radical right, but I think Laura Loomer is a very nice person. I've known her for a long time. And, personally, I think she's a patriot. And she gets excited because of the fact that she's a patriot. And she doesn't like things going on that she thinks are bad for the country. I like her.
Mr. President, actress Sydney Sweeney, it came out this weekend that she was a registered Republican. Any thoughts on that?
And who was?
Sydney Sweeney. She's like a very hot actress right now.
She's a registered Republican?
Yes.
Oh, now I love her ad. Is that right? Is Sydney Sweeney? You'd be surprised at how many people are Republicans. That's what I wouldn't have known, but I'm glad you told me that. If Sydney Sweeney is a registered Republican, I think her ad is fantastic. Okay, thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Swollen limbs, joint pain, inflammation, skin aging, and cognitive decline. These are just a few of the awful side effects that you can experience due to poor blood circulation. And popping ibuprofen is not a solution to the pain. It's only temporary relief, and it's only masking the true problem, which is inflammation. Researchers are saying to add this Antarctic super nutrient to your diet. I'm talking about omega-3 fatty acids, but not just any form of omegas. These particular omega-3 fatty acids are sourced from wild-caught krill. Has been shown to support healthy blood pressure, circulation, brain health, as well as reduce inflammation, swelling, and joint pain. For a limited time, you can grab Native Path Antarctic Krill Oil for up to 66% off plus free shipping. Just go to getkrill.com/Lindell right now to get your special offer.
Friends, we all know the truth. Big Pharma and the federal bureaucracy have made a mess of healthcare in this country, and boy, that's an understatement. President Trump signed an executive order to bring prices down, and that's a great step. But we know that real change takes time. There's one pharmacy that is already stepping up. I want to tell you about All Family Pharmacy. They're not waiting. They're taking action now with a summer sale that gives you the power to take control of your health. Right now, through the end of June, you get 20% off site-wide, no insurance required. Did you hear that? 20% off, site-wide, no insurance required. They work with licensed doctors in all 50 states, and they ship fast straight to your door. Whether it's ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, methylene blue, antibiotics, emergency kits, or your daily prescriptions, this is a time to stock up. If you believe in medical freedom, if you're tired of waiting for someone else to fix things, do what I do. Take action. Go to allfamilypharmacy.com/Lindell and use promo code Lindell20, Lindell 20 for 20% off your entire order. That's allfamilypharmacy.com Lindell. Promo code Lindell20. Let's protect our families, defend our freedom, and make America healthy again together.
With everybody talking about making America healthy again, I thought today'd be a great day to talk to all my fellow patriots about the importance of making your homes healthy again. Well, we have proudly partnered with airwaterhealing.com and their revolutionary whole home air purification system. The V3 from Air Water Healing does 3,000 square feet of purification. It eliminates dust, mold, viruses, and odors. But here's the part I love. They require no filters to ever be changed and virtually no maintenance. Whether you suffer from asthma, allergies, seasonal bronchitis, or just want to protect your family from the flu or even greater threats, don't wait to get your V3 from airwaterhealing.com today. Use code Lindell for 20% off in savings and free shipping. That's promo code Lindell at airwaterhealing.com. Whether it's being a weekend warrior or spending time with your family, feeling your best is the key to doing the things you love. That's why I'm excited to tell you about Nirvanta.